Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Julie Yu. I present CNA's flagship morning show, Asia First, and it's my great pleasure to be part of this very important event on this significant day for women in Singapore, Asia, and around the world. On this day, there's lots to celebrate for women, especially in business. More girls are going to school, more women are starting and owning their own businesses, growing their careers and leading companies around the world. And initiatives are being introduced to achieve gender balance in a corporate world. But when it comes to women in the boardroom, they're still astonishingly underrepresented, accounting for only about 20% of board seats and about 5% of CEO positions globally. And at this current rate, a report by Deloitte says that it would take another 20 years or so to reach gender parity in the boardroom. But it's not all doom and gloom. There are shining examples of many women taking leadership roles across the region, driving positive change and continuing to uplift and empower future generations of women to come. At the forefront of that effort is Miss Jane Sun, the CEO of Chinese online travel giant Tripcom Group, one of the largest online travel agencies in the world with 400 million users. Ms. Sun first joined the company, then known as C-Trip, as CFO in 2005, rose to become COO in 2012, co-president in 2015, before taking on the role as CEO in 2016. Throughout the course of her career, Ms. Sun has been recognized many times over as one of the world's powerful, influential, and creative women in business. Her efforts to improve the standing of female employees within the company have also garnered wide recognition. We are deeply honored, and personally as a working woman, I'm very excited to be speaking to Ms. Sun and to get a chance to hear about her insights, her experiences, and her vision of a more gender equal world. There'll be a Q&A session at the end of the fireside chat, so I'd like to encourage our audience to share your questions if you have anything for Ms. Sun. By using the pigeonhole, you can find a QR code on your tables. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Ms. Jane Sun with a warm round of applause. Ms. Jane Sun, thank you so much for joining us. It would have been great if you're here in person, but still lovely to see you. Hope you're well.
Thank you so much. I look forward to coming to Singapore. It's my favorite place to visit.
Good to know, good to know. Let's get straight into it. I want to start with your personal journey to the boardroom. Recently came across a very interesting survey done by Harvard Business Review, which found that 57 female CEOs, of these, 5 had said they always wanted to be CEO. 3 said they didn't want the role, they took it out of sense of responsibility. 2/3 said that they didn't know they could be CEO until someone else told them. How was it for you? Was it always your plan to become a leader?
When I first joined the company, I was the first female CFO in the China market. And gradually, I took on more and more responsibility and become the COO and then president and then CEO of the company. My growth trajectory really is blessed for many people who supported me. So in return, I also want to be very supportive to mentor many female leaders to become CEO later on.
We'll talk more about that later on our conversation, but you said in one of your previous interviews that your career is a reflection of China's 40 years of development opening up. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, I think females have tremendous talents, but depending on different age, they have experienced different opportunities. For example, my grandmother was very smart. But for her generation, she was just like one of many other women was told to stay at home without being able to go to school. And her age, during her age, China was going through the Second World War. And my mother, again, was very smart. She was a chemistry engineer. But the country was not opening up until my generation. I joined the first generation of the students to go to the USA to study. So I always feel very blessed for the opportunity. And I want to make sure much is given, much is expected. So now I become the executive of our company. We have adopted many female-friendly policies to encourage more females to become the executives to lead our company forward.
Come a long way, but it wasn't all smooth sailing. I hear that when you went to Japan for the first time as CFO, accompanying your chairman and your counterparts bowed and introduced themselves, but then they didn't even bother to come shake your hand, assuming that you're just an assistant. I mean, could you recall any of the biases or assumptions made about you just because you're a woman? And how did you deal with them?
Yes, invisibly, there are many biases. In Asian countries, still very few people can imagine that a female can take such an important role 20 years ago. And even in the Silicon Valley, when I joined a group of CEOs to visit the CEOs in the Silicon Valley, a lot of people asked me, where was your husband? So they assume I went on the CEO trip because my husband was the CEO of the company. And it just happened, my husband John was not there. So it's very difficult for many people still to imagine that a female can take such an important leadership role to lead the company forward.
Speaking of dealing with pressure and challenges, the COVID-19 pandemic has certainly proven to be a revealing test of leadership. And we've seen many articles and commentaries saying that women are better leaders when it comes to times of crisis, times of uncertainty. How would you describe the approach of women leaders in dealing with extreme challenges?
I think a male and a female brings different strengths. Females are very good with putting themselves in other people's shoes, very good with communication, very good with team building, and are very willing to make personal sacrifice for the best interest of the team. So during COVID, we made our policy that customer first, partner second, Tripcom the third. So by telling our customer they are the first, I remember when COVID hit, many of the Chinese customers are waiting to take their vacation abroad. So instantly, we need to respond to the closure of the borders by returning and refunding our customers for 36 billion instantly. It was a lot of pressure, yet our team united as one person and made a decision very quickly. Talk with the bank, get the money ready, get the fund ready, return the refund to the customers. That's a demonstration to put our customer in the first place. The second thing is we saw many small and medium-sized business travelers or travel tourism board were under lots of pressure. So we established a 1 billion partnership fund to help them with cash flow. We also worked with banks to establish 10 billion loans, make it available for our small and medium-sized partners to help them through this very challenging time. The third one is Trip.com, the third. Because our revenue was reducing very quickly due to the pandemic, our chairman and I volunteered to our board that we will take zero salary until industry recovers. And our VP volunteered to our board that they will take 50% pay cut. And then our staffs told our team members that they will work 4 days and stay at home for 1 day. Some of them will work 3 days and stay at home for 2 days. By doing that, we're able to retain the talents during the very challenging time and make sure we make all the infrastructure investment to be ready when the border opens, when the pent-up demand is back again.
And I understand that China's domestic travel is picking up, but given Chinese government is still pursuing a zero COVID policy, that is, how is recovery looking for Trip.com, and what's the biggest threats that your company is facing right now?
Yeah, the positive thing is that the data from the world has shown that the death rate from COVID is reducing. And second thing is the vaccination rate is increasing. as people are taking 2 shots or sometimes 3 shots, more and more people are well protected. So we're confident with the development in the medical field and with more data being accumulated, eventually we will be able to overcome the difficulty and make sure that the travel demand will be addressed appropriately.
When do you think Chinese tourists can travel overseas again?
Yeah, right now the domestic travel is picking up. And also in the rest of the world, we have seen a very nice pickup for domestic travel for each country. However, as you can see, the cross-border transactions is still under lots of pressure because we have different rules and regulations and control procedures when we cross borders. So Trip.com is very much technology savvy. So we want to make sure that all the information is provided to our travelers online through their apps, through their mobile devices. So when our customer cross the borders, they will be very well protected.
Ms. Sun, I'll bring you back to your personal experience again. On top of the pressure of leading the company, you're also a mother, you're also a wife, a daughter, and daughter-in-law. Let's not leave that out. Through the course of a career, what sort of personal sacrifices have you made? And do you think, based on your experience, can high-achieving women have it all?
Yes, I don't think it's a sacrifice. I think I always tell our team that being a working mother, we have to be prepared that we need to invest twice as much efforts as a person who just choose to do one set of the work. But the good thing is the rewards is also twice as much. So being a full-time mother, being a full-time wife can be a full-time job already. And being a full-time CEO is more than 40 hours per week. But the good thing is when we look at the rewards, not only we achieve success in our family, but we also achieve success in our career. So it's a job that is very challenging, yet very rewarding.
I want to transition now to enabling women in the workplace. I'm sure you have lots to say about that. You know, it's well known that the companies with greater gender diversity among senior leadership, they perform better. But what's unclear is why that is. When I look at your company, women make up over half of Trip.com's 40,000 employees, 1/3 of the upper management, more than 40% of the middle management. Tell us why having more female executives is so closely related with better business outcomes.
Mm-hmm. Yes, travel is very much driven by both male and female. And it's one of the industry which will take in more than 55% of the females as its workforce. So as a company, we have taken on a lot of measures and implemented lots of policies which support our female workers. For example, when a female is pregnant, we will offer free taxi to take them to work and bring them home. When they return to work, we offer flexible working hours. When the baby is born, we give them 800 as welcome gift, 3,000 as education fee. And now we realize more and more females are getting their PhDs and wanted to study overseas before they return to work. So if you calculate the years when they can after they graduate from school, it probably is already 26 to 28 years old after they get their PhD, to 35, which is a critical age when doctor will classify you as a high-risk pregnancy. So during these 7 to 8 years, it's the golden year for them to develop their career. And it's also a golden year for them to give birth to their babies. So we think about how we can support our females better. And one of the ways is to fully utilize our technology. So if our female workers are decided to have their eggs frozen, we will pay for it. And Trip.com is the first company and only company in China market to support our female leaders for this progressive policy.
That's a progressive policy indeed, and a very bold one too. I wonder what's been the take-up? Have a lot of the women managers in your company have taken advantage of the policy?
Yes, very much so. When we recruit students from college, when we recruit talents from the market, this becomes a very important policy. Many female talents join us because of this female-friendly policy.
Since you mentioned technology earlier, I want to zoom out a little bit and talk about tech scene in China. How much has changed for women in technology now compared to when you started out in this field?
When I first came to China market, I was the only female CFO in the whole market. And now more and more females are joining high-tech company to become executives in this field. So I'm very encouraged to see the progress in this field. Yet many has been done, many yet to be done. So as executive in a high-tech company, I always feel tremendous responsibility to implement and encourage our females to become braver, to take on more responsibility when they develop their career.
And studies have shown that women have been disproportionately affected by COVID-19. Many have to not only deal with work, but also juggle with caregiving demands. They're starting to question their career prospects as well. What can companies do to mitigate this sort of negative effects from the pandemic, especially, and ensure women stay longer in organizations, long term, I mean?
Yeah, as one of the measures we have taken recently is promoting a flexible working format. It's a hybrid working model. We ask employee to adopt 3+2, meaning 3 days in office, 2 days working at home. And we did our A/B testing for the past 6 months by testing more than 1,500 employees. The productivity was not impacted. However, we're able to reduce the attrition rate from 7.9% to 4.5%. And also the job satisfaction from our workforce has significantly increased. And by allowing our employees to work 2 days in office, they're able to reduce the commute times. And for working mothers and working fathers, this is very helpful. Because they are able to use the time they saved and spending with their children. That's why we feel it's a very good policy, and it's very carbon friendly as well.
Certainly is. And speaking of family, your husband, John Wu, who is an ex-Alibaba CTO turned investor, is no chump when it comes to work. I wonder how much he supports on the home front. And as a leading couple, a super couple, how do you successfully balance work and home life? Is there a secret or ground rules?
Thank you. John is very supportive. We have 2 young daughters, and both of us believe female should be very independent, and mothers will become the best role models for their children. So he and I try to share works, and I go to work very early in the morning. Between 6 to 7 o'clock, I'm already in office getting my things done. Starting from 8 o'clock, I have meeting planned out back to back. And if I'm not traveling, I try to take my work at 6 to 7 o'clock in the evening, and I try to spend at least a couple of hours in the evening with my family. When my children is young, I help them with their homework. But when they go to bed, we will start our overseas meeting late in the evening, like 9 o'clock, NASDAQ opens. Europe still is in session. So we have a quite late evening session with our overseas partners. That's how we balance our work and life. But yeah, John is very supportive for a female to be very independent and balance work and life.
Well, my husband is listening. And when we talk about issue of women on boards, many people say we just cannot find enough capable, qualified women to fill those positions. What do you think is the root cause of that? And what can we do to develop a sustainable pipeline of competent female candidates?
If we look at the college, actually female students get better grades. More than 50% of the top students are females. And when the students enter into workforce, pretty much they are quite equal as well. It's when the female and male accelerating in their career paths, they need more help. For example, I remember one time we had an offsite meeting. And one of my direct reports just had a baby, and I know she was breastfeeding her baby. So I offered that she can take her baby with her. And during the meeting break, she can go to her room and breastfeed her baby. And I just didn't do too much. I just thought, because I used to be a mother who breastfed my baby, I understand what it takes. It's a very simple offer, yet it helped her so much, because very few employees will have the courage to go to their CEO and ask if they can bring their baby with her during the offsite meeting. And so I think it's very important for us to have a voice to represent these working mothers at C-level, at the board level. So the more we can give support to our employee at the ground level, and later on at middle manager level, at senior leverage level, we'll be able to grow them into a board member's position eventually.
Son, now I'd like to turn some of the questions from the audience. I'm getting some questions. A member of the audience is asking, based on your observations, what are the 3 major mistakes that women make in the workplace?
I think it's not mistakes, but I would encourage our female friends to push yourself out of the comfort zone. Many times I see my direct reports, male and female, both work very hard. However, during year end, people who come to my office ask for promotion, ask for salary increases are mostly males. And a lot of time I have to ask the female leaders to come to my office and personally encourage them to go through the promotion committee. And a lot of them will tell me, oh, Jane, Tripcom have given me tremendous opportunity, but I think I still need to, wait 2 more years to be promoted to the next level. And as a working mother, I totally understand how much they are taking on, because not only they need to take care of work, but they also need to take care of their family. However, I think if you have done a tremendous job, you deserve a promotion. So I would really encourage our female friends to push yourself out of comfort zone. The second thing is being very optimistic, because in any business, in any family, there is always ups and downs. The past 2 years for any companies, any countries, any families, we have been through quite a lot. So keep up with this optimistic view is very important. The third one is being very curious, because the world is moving very fast. A lot of things we learn from college are no longer applicable. So keep up with the learning spirit. Always have a very curious heart will make us to be a good learner and move along with our generation.
Jane, another question that I have for you here is, could you name a woman who has inspired you the most and why?
I really admire Mother Teresa because he looks very tiny, yet the power and the love she has brought to our world is tremendous. Soldiers will stop fighting because she was there. And the leadership is in many forms. It may not be a leader as a president, but a leader in a charity work, a leader in your family, a leader in your community can be very powerful as well.
And another one is, what leadership lessons have you learned that were unique to being a female leader?
Being very confident and assertive. because we have lots of traits, good traits. As we said, we have strong empathy, very good with putting ourselves in other people's shoes. These are all very good traits. But once we know this is the right decision, I think we always need to be as confident as our male counterpart.
Ms. Sun, now looking ahead, what do you think are likely to be the biggest challenge or barriers for future generations of female leaders? And what are some of the ways to overcome them?
I think the world is moving towards a more positive way. I think, as I said, my grandmother didn't even go to school. My mother didn't even have a chance to study overseas. I was the first generation who were able to join the other 3,000 students to go to the States to study. And now, borders are open for a lot of students. So taking advantage of this great opportunity and learn as much as possible. And there will be new challenges for new generation. As we have seen, there is war in Europe. There's COVID in sweeping the global places. However, as long as we maintain a very optimistic view, understanding that we will be able to overcome these difficulties, as long as we remain to be hardworking, remain to be very optimistic, it will help us through during the very difficult time.
Ms. Sun, there are a lot of men in our audience too. I wonder how men, especially those in privileged positions, become better allies for gender equality in the workplace.
Yes, men are very supportive. More and more male leaders are very supportive for females. And many times when I talk with them, it's not because they don't support women. They just didn't have the same experience. For example, the breastfeeding female I was talking about. If I told a male leader that, we need to ask her to bring the baby with us, nobody will say no because they want to be as supportive as possible. It's just they personally didn't have this kind of experience. So I would really encourage more females to have good communication with our male leaders and win their support. And I also would love to invite more and more male leaders to become part of us in our community to understand and give your support to this wonderful population. My belief is that when you help a boy, you help one person. When you help a girl, you help the whole family, the whole village, and the whole community and the whole nation.
So speaking of the future, when you look at the lessons that you learned from the past challenges throughout the course of your career and also especially pandemic, how are you planning to position Trip.com for the future?
Trip.com right now has 400 million users. They are all over the world. So for us, there are 4 elements that is very important. The first one is our investment in technology, particularly at the age after we finish the pandemic. Technology will become very important. The second one is our investment into product. The product that covers the global travel industry will become really valuable when our customers are ready to travel. The third one is the service level. During the COVID, and at any given time, 24 hours times 7, any customers can reach us by calling us, and we need to respond to our customers within 20 seconds. So the service level is very important. The fourth one is the branding. I think having a good brand which will give confidence to our customers when they travel around. And the last one is also having very good pricing structure. So high-end customers will be able to find very good, high-quality product. Young students can go around the world using very economic packages. So these elements, 5 elements, are the focus when we develop our business model.
What role will women leaders play in that vision?
very important because when we study our customer portfolio, the majority of the family trips are booked by females. So to understand our female customers become very important. When we look at our partnership in the pipeline, more than 55% of the jobs in the travel industries are taken by females. So to encourage them to step up and making sure they innovate their product, develop the service technology to serve our customers well, will become a very important successful factor going forward.
Ms. Sun, before we let you go, where will be your first long-haul destination when COVID-19 is over?
Oh, I'm ready to travel everywhere. Antarctica, as far as I can go.
Antarctica. Wow. Okay. Wonderful. Hopefully, but we can welcome you to Singapore sometime very soon. Ms. Sun, thank you very much for your time, for sharing your insight and your experience and your vision with us. And I'm sure it would encourage a lot of women out there to act on their leadership potential and motivate more corporate leaders to do more to support women in all their endeavors. Ladies and gentlemen, can we give Ms. Jane Sun a big round of applause? Thank you. Thank you.